Hey, I'm Chris Ralph, and I'm here with a special announcement. I've got a brand new detector that I'm announcing to you guys. I'm one of the first ones to have one of these, and I'm really excited because it's really a great, I'm really recommending it as a first beginner's detector for gold nuggets. Now, some of you guys, I get questions, what's the best detector for me? Well, that's kind of a complex question. What's your budget? What are you gonna do with it? And that kind of stuff. And that makes, those sorts of things make a huge difference. Where are you gonna take it? I'm actually here out in an old gold mine, an old hydraulic pit in California, of which there are hundreds. And these are great places to take a metal detector and find some gold. I've found gold here. I've found gold in a lot of other places like this. But what I'm bringing to you is this, what's called the Gold Bug Tracker. And it's made to be super simple so that it's easy for a new guy to use. It's also a very reasonably priced detector, but it's gonna be around $300, depending on where you buy it. And I'm gonna give you guys a special link, a discount code that you can get $5% off the price of buying one of these. A lot of guys, they tell me, hey Chris, I can't afford a $1,000 or a $2,000 or $5,000 metal detector. I need something that's more in my price range. And this detector, which like I say, will be in the ballpark of about $300, is really the best we're gonna get. Now, I also get guys who wanna tell me, hey Chris, I'd rather just buy like a $75 metal detector off of Amazon, some Chinese thing. And it's like, yeah, even if you buy a relic detector, coin detector from a well-known manufacturer, like all the big metal detector manufacturers, Fisher, Minelab, Garrett, they all make good coin machines. But the trick is, using a coin machine to find gold is a problem. The biggest problem that goes with that is the coin machines are made to find what are effectively giant targets in the world of gold nuggets. A nickel, which is not a huge coin, it's on the smaller end, medium small. A nickel is equivalent to a 1/4 ounce nugget. And, a 1/4 ounce nuggets. Now, I found a couple of 1/4 ounce nuggets this summer, but or actually bigger than 1/4 ounce. But if that was all I found, most of my gold would be still left in the ground. And that's the thing with the detectors oriented around gold prospecting. They're made to see smaller targets and made to deal with ground mineralization. And so, if you don't have to deal with ground mineralization and you're just finding things that are big like coins and rings and that kind of stuff, then, hey, a coin machine is okay. But if you're gonna come out to one of these pits where a lot of the gold is pretty small, you're gonna need a gold-oriented detector. A grandpa's old coin machine that he bought 30 years ago, or some other machine that only cost $75 on Amazon or something like that. That's gonna be a difficult machine to find gold with. If you find a big enough piece of gold, that's it. But you're going to be ignoring the vast majority of the gold that you walk past. So that's why I recommend a gold-oriented machine and why I'm recommending this Gold Bug Tracker. It's a digital machine, and so the signal that comes from the coil is processed digitally through the machine. It has really good discrimination. It has resistance to hot rocks. It has a lot of features. Let me tell you some more about the features right now. Okay, let's talk about the features of the Gold Bug Tracker. Now, the one that I emphasize the most and why I say it's a great detector for new guys who just want to try this out, who maybe thought about nugget detecting before, or maybe you live in an area where gold mining went on in the past and you want to give it a try. Well, it's easy to use. You know, one of the things I say to people about who want to get into nugget prospecting is there's two parts of nugget prospecting. And is one, you have to learn your machine and know your machine, know how it runs, what it's capable of, and how it reacts to things. And then you have to put the coil over a nugget that's large enough and shallow enough that your detector can see it. And by being easy to use, the part of learning your detector is pretty quick. Although I will say that overall the more difficult one is finding those spots where you can put your coil over a piece of gold that's close enough to the surface and of good enough size that the detector can see it. It's got digital signal processing, which a lot of the older detectors ran analog. This is a newer type of design with digital processing that helps with being able to do discrimination and ground balance and stuff like that. So it's great because it's easy to use. And then what goes with that, like I say, is automatic ground balance. Now, ground balance is a big deal, and a lot of the older machines were manual. Some of the ones now still are, but the automatic ground balance on this is really good. It handles the mineralized soils really well, and I'm going to actually go back out to the field, and we'll talk a little bit more about automatic ground balance. One of the things that gives new guys difficulty is ground balance. You know, almost always when you're in areas that have gold nuggets, you're going to get a medium to really high soil mineralization, which means soil mineralization is basically the amount of iron in the soil. And it's just really common that you'll have significant amount of iron, sometimes really huge amounts. And the truth is, the signal that the metal detector sees from the iron in the soil can actually be much larger than the target that you're looking for. So, you know, unless you have a giant target like a nickel or a quarter, the actual ground mineralization will be larger than a small nugget, the signal that the machine sees. And so you need to balance out and eliminate that ground mineralization so that your machine can see the nugget and just isn't overwhelmed by the signal of the ground soil, the mineralization, so that the machine, you know, reliably hears the nugget. Another important feature is it has really good discrimination, and you can easily switch back and forth. Like you can be in all metal mode, a non-discriminate mode. You can see on the thing, and I'm going to demonstrate how this works to you a little bit further on in the video, but the discrimination works really well. You can blank out targets, but I suggest that you run in all metal mode because you can still see what the target is. Like I say, give me a few minutes more into this video and I'll do a demonstration for you and show you the detector and show how it runs on different kinds of targets. The other big thing for new guys is it's low cost. You know, you can get more powerful detectors. You know, the detector that I think is the most powerful one on the market costs $8,000, okay? And there's a lot of other really good ones that are $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Yeah, you know, and most guys, you know, I remember when I was a younger guy and, you know, I had kids at home and you know, my wife stayed home to take care of the kids, which was a great investment in my kids. I was happy for it, but it meant that I didn't just have thousands of dollars to spend on a metal detector or something like that. And so, you know, at 300 bucks, it's much more affordable for folks than the bigger, more powerful, more expensive ones, but it still can do the job. At 300 bucks, it really is what I say, the best bang for the buck. You get the most performance for the dollars you spend. And with the price of gold now, the crazy price of gold, you know, as I'm filming this, it's almost $3,000 an ounce. At that kind of price, it would only take a little more than 1/10 of an ounce, just a few grams would pay for the thing. So you know, when you give an $8,000 detector, you got to find a whole bunch of ounces of gold in order to just break even and pay for it. But when you have a low cost one like this, you don't have to find that much gold in order to break even on the price. It has a sensitivity to about 1/10 of a gram, which is pretty good. That's a small picker is about 1/10 of a gram, a pretty small picker. You know, the thing that you can pick up with your fingers, but it's going to be, you know, not easy at 1/10 of a gram to pick it up with your fingers. Now there are detectors that are much more sensitive, and they cost 3 or 4 times as much. But you know, for the bang for the buck, what performance you get, 1/10 of a gram is a pretty small type of a piece of gold, and so, you know, I think that's a good ability for the price that you're paying. And then the other thing is, you know, there's an 11-inch optional DD coil that High Plains, who I'm recommending in this video, High Plains sells for $149. If you also get that of course brings your detector up to $450, but with that additional coil, it's now a pretty good coin and relic machine. So with the little tiny coil, the little round coil, you can go looking for gold. And if you want to go to parks and schools and look for coins and jewelry, it's a good detector for that. If you get the little bit bigger coil, you'll have the ground coverage, and I think you'll be happy with it as a coin and relic machine. So it's really capable, flexible machine, and I like I say, I'm recommended. I tested it out in the field, and I recommend it, especially for new guys. So that's a little bit more about the features of the Goldbug tracker. And if you're asking me, hey Chris, you know, is this detector for around 400 bucks better than detectors that cost 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000? No, it's not. It's you know, it's not the best detector on the market because those cost many thousands of dollars. You know, and most guys that are, even if you have some more money, you know, they look at nugget detecting and think, well, you know, am I going to like that? Am I going to enjoy it? Is it going to work out for me? And so they think, yeah, but, you know, I'm not willing to spend a large amount of money. Okay, so that's why this detector is great for new guys, because it's low cost. I mean, it's comparatively low on the expense sale, being, like I say, in the neighborhood of about 400. And I will put up, you know, notice of what the actual recommended retail price is. But what this detector is a modification and improvement on the old Goldbug Pro. Now, Fisher's still going to make the Goldbug Pro, and it's still going to be out there, and I've got videos recommending the Goldbug Pro, but I recommend this one for new guys. But it has this automatic tracking that keeps you always, your ground balance always in adjustment, and it has better resistance to things like hot rocks and mineralized bits of the soil and that sort of thing. And so it really is a good detector for guys that are saying to themselves, hey, I'd like to try this. I don't want to spend a mint to get my first detector and then maybe find out later, I didn't like it that much. I will be honest with you. I'm going to tell you, gold is not easy to find. There's a reason why gold sells currently, as I'm recording this, for about $2,700 an ounce. You know, think to pay for a metal detector, you don't have to find a lot of gold at $2,700 an ounce. But the reason why it's so expensive is that it's rare and it's hard to find. And you know, for walking to areas where there's just nuggets all over the ground and you could just pick them up, we're 100, 150 years too late for that. But the one good thing about it is the old timers, that like this pit is a huge area that was, the hills were just washed away with high pressure water. But you know, when they did these pits, they weren't planning to leave gold behind. They didn't want to leave gold behind, but they never had anything like a metal detector. And the sensitivity on this thing is similar to the Goldbug Pro, maybe even slightly less, but it has no threshold sound, so you know, you're running without a threshold. It's quiet, and when you hit something that's gonna, you know, send a target, it will let you know. And I'm going to do some stuff about operating this and show you a little bit about what the screen looks like. Let me do that right now. Okay, let's try out the gold bug and listen to how it sounds on some different targets. Now I have it in non-discrimination, or what they call all metal mode, but even in all metal it gives you some indication on the screen of how the detector's doing. So I'm going to run it over a little piece of iron, a part of a square nail, and it gives that sound, and it's telling me that that target is ferrous. And let me show you a picture of that.
So here's the screen as it's going over that bit of a square nail, and you can see the score is 24. In general, just as a note, targets below about 40 are going to be mostly iron, and targets much above 40, especially above 45, are going to more likely be non-ferrous. Now, it could be lead or it could be gold, but it's going to be something that isn't iron.
Our next test target that we're doing is a little piece of magnetite, a hot rock. And it's giving all the hot rock signals. The signal as actually comes after the target swings over. So if I swing over this way, see, if when I'm passing this way, it sounds like the target's here. When I'm going this way, it sounds like the target's here. The truth is it's in the middle. So that's a hot rock, and it's a really strong one. Even a really strong hot rock is not sounding off that loud.
Here is the screen as it's going over that hot rock. You can see it scores a 1, which is way below the 40 plus threshold for a non-ferrous. So the hot rocks score way at the bottom end of the scale.
Then this is a little piece of lead. And it's indicating definitely that it's a non-ferrous target. And I'll show you the screen here.
So here's the screen while it's going over the little bit of lead, which of course is a non-ferrous target, just like gold, and it scores 48. And this is a little small piece of lead. And so you can see that the non-ferrous targets score much higher. Like I say, above about 45, you're going to dig it because it's going to be non-ferrous. And you can't really tell the difference between lead and gold on this or any other VLF detector. Because gold could be of any size, and essentially lead can be of any size too.
And finally, our last target is a bit of wire, and it also is indicating, like that bit of square nail, that it's a ferrous target, a piece of iron trash.
And here's the screen while I'm going over that little bit of iron wire. It scores 19, again, a low number, similar to the 24 that I got for the piece of square nail. 19 means it's basically a little bit smaller iron target than was the piece of square nail. Now, with all of these discrimination readings, you have to get right over the target, well centered over the target to get the accurate reading. If you're off to the side or just barely going by it, you might get a false reading. But when you're right over the target, that's when you get your best and most accurate discrimination reading.
And I have this in all metal mode, and it's still getting an indication. So it's really not 100% true all metal. But when you go in all metal, what you get is, or when you go in discrimination, you get some of those targets cut out. So here's our original square nail. I swing over it, I don't get a target. Here's the hot rock, I swing over it, no indication. Here's our piece of lead. It definitely indicates it's a non-ferrous target. And then finally, our little bit of wire. Again, no target. So in discrimination mode, it does pretty good. If you're in a super duper trashy area, I mean, where there's just trash everywhere, and it's all the rusty iron trash, you might try hunting in discrimination, but I would recommend not doing that. I recommend going in the non-discrimination all metal mode, simply because it's more sensitive. You lose a little bit of sensitivity switching to discrimination mode. Well, I hope you liked the look at the screens and the sounds of the detector. I mean, like I say, I'm real happy with this and proud to recommend it. And like I say, High Plains Prospectors is a great place to buy your detecting equipment from. And in fact, that Chris Ralph discount code will give you a 5% discount on anything that they have, on all of their merchandise. So, you know, take a look and see what you think. There's a lot that they have to offer, a lot of different metal detectors, from this all the way up to the real expensive ones. Prospecting, you know, pans, you know, sluice boxes and high bankers and stuff. They have it all. So take a look and think about this detector, because it's actually a really good one for the new guy. This detector is really good for a VLF, and that's why I say for a new guy who doesn't want to end up swinging a detector and having it go beep 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 up up boop 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 boop, you know, making all kinds of noise on hot rocks and mineralization. You want it just to beep when it finds a target. That's good. That's what this detector does most of the time. In real extreme mineralization, this detector will struggle, but it'll struggle a lot less than other VLFs that I've used for nugget detecting. So it's a great machine. And like I say, I recommend it for beginners, and I'm going to be doing a lot more work with this machine. And I recommend, if you're at all interested in getting into nugget detecting, you know, whether you're just planning to get out into the Arizona desert this fall or winter, or whether you're going to be up in the Sierras or some other place up in Alaska or wherever, you know, it's a good detector for that. I think I'll turn my detector on and go out and do some metal detecting. See if I can find me a little bit of gold. And like I say, at the price that this is and the price that gold is now, it doesn't take a lot of gold finding to pay for itself.
Here's a close-up look at this new detector. It has only 2 knobs for adjustment and a really simple readout. It's easy to use. I mean, that's the whole thing, is that it's not as complex as some other detectors. It's low-priced and easy to use. And so I'm going to be coming out with a number of other videos. Next week, I'm going to have a video on how to operate this, you know, how to set the knobs and what to read out on the display and what typical targets will read out as. And we'll discuss discrimination and the whole thing. So next week, we're going to have the Gold Bug Tracker operational guide. Now, it's one thing to have a great metal detector, but it's another thing to have the skill of going out and finding gold. I mean, how do you know where to swing your coil to find some gold? And I wrote a book about that and combined my experience. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my book right now, and then also about High Plains, which is right now the only metal detector sales guys that have it. So I'm partnering with them, and we'll tell you a little bit more about them in just a second here.
This is my book, Fistful of Gold. It's an encyclopedia of everything you need to know to go out and find gold for yourself. It distills down my 45 years of experience out in the field prospecting, as well as my degree in mine engineering. It's, like I say, an encyclopedia. There's a lot to it. It's over 250,000 words long, hundreds of pages with hundreds of illustrations, teaching you what you need to know about geology, about mining districts, about techniques of finding gold. It covers metal detectors, sluicing, panning, dry washing, high bankers, you know, you name it, it's covered in there. It talks some about platinum and diamonds, but it's mostly about gold, because gold is more widespread. It is not so much a book about where to find gold, but a book about how to find gold. Because even if you have a location where gold was mined in the past and you go out there, well, where should you look to be successful in your prospecting, to find the gold that's there? This is the book that's going to tell you that information. I spent most of 10 years writing this book, so I thought a long time about it, It's got, like I say, lots of information and lots of illustrations, and I've had results from people who bought it. It's available on Amazon, but I recommend buying it through High Plains Prospectors, and I'll put a link in the description for buying this book through them. They have a better price than Amazon, and I have a special deal that I'll tell you a little bit more about, where you can get a 5% discount from the price even with that. On Amazon, the book rates a 4.7 out of 5, which means that of all the people that have bought it, they've been really highly satisfied, and I think you, if you buy my book, will be just as highly satisfied as well. Now let's talk a little bit more about High Plains Prospectors. They're a prospecting shop, a mail order prospecting shop that I've partnered with. The deal is that I can get you a 5% discount, a coupon code, and I'm going to put the code to that right here. It's just Chris Ralph, all caps with no space between Chris and Ralph. You put that in there as a discount code, and you'll get 5% off their already really good prices. I think it's a great deal where you win by getting a discount, I get a little percentage of that, and they get new business. So if you need prospecting supplies, High Plains is really the way to go. And I'll put information, like I say, in the description more about how you can work with them, because I'm working with them. They really are great guys, a great company. For even more information, I also have a website, and I'm going to show you my webpage and talk a little bit more about that right now.
This is my webpage. It's located at NevadaOutbackGems.com. You can Google it, or I have a link down in the description below. But there's lots of information here, miscellaneous stuff, pictures, some historic information as well, stories. It's got a lot of great fun stuff. You'll probably be interested in it.
Now, on all of my YouTube videos, I encourage you guys to ask questions. If you have thoughts, comments, suggestions for things that I ought to look at in my videos, things that you want to find out more about, and I answer 100% of my questions. There's not very many YouTubers out there that answer 100% of their questions. I'm one of the few. And so I will do my best to answer what you have. I mean, I only can write so much. Sometimes the answer is something where I'm going to recommend that you buy the book and read about it. I also ask that you subscribe to my channel, click the bell notification so that every time I come out with a new video, you'll be able to watch it. And like I say, I cover a huge amount of topics. I also have 250 videos that I've already done. And so you can go back through my catalog of videos on YouTube. I'm sure there'll be many videos there that you'll want to take a look at, especially if you have any interest in gold or platinum, diamonds, gemstones, geology, and that sort of stuff. My YouTube site is going to be right up your alley. So I'll see you again real soon. We'll be out in the field and back in the office at the whiteboard, and whether we're looking at gold or platinum, diamonds, gemstones, or other interesting geology, it's going to be fun. You're going to enjoy it, and we'll see you again real soon.